Hello.
Just a moment. I think I selected the wrong mic. Is it clear now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So let me just share the screen. Can you see it?
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see it.
Okay. So until the last session, what we have seen is, unfortunately, because of some other work, I was not able to continue. But until the last session, what we have seen is the very basics, right? So let's just do a quick recap. Yeah. So we started looking into time series. We defined the very basic things related to time series. The very basic things are something like there is a data which is dependent on time, right? So it is dependent on time and it is dependent on equivocal amounts of time. So the periods of time are going to be equally distributed from another, right? So that's the main property which you have in case of a time series. Now there are certain things which we have to take care of. For example, uh, the data has to be ordered, right? So that's one of the main property that we saw. It has to be ordered. I think there is some issue with the performance here. Let me just stop the sharing once. It is not working well as expected. So let me try to do something else. Let me, okay. Yeah. Let me open a text editor. And let me share my screen. There is some problem with the settings. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute, Roy. There is some issue with the settings. Yeah. So now I should be able to do this. Yeah. Yeah. Now it is working better. Yeah. Good. So we were talking about time series, and the first property we saw is that uh, we need to have. Just a moment. Let me just close this one. Okay. Mm, yeah. So the first property that we need to have is that we have a timed data, right? We have a data where the independent variable is time. The second thing is that we need to have a data which is ordered. It should be in some kind of an order. Either it should be in the ascending order or it should be in the descending order, right? In whatsoever order, I mean, you need to have some kind of an order, right? Now, once you have this kind of a data, right, usually what we are talking about is the univariate time series analysis, right? So what we are going to concentrate more on, right? So univariate means what? Univariate means there will be two variables, x and y, and x is going to be my time or my date and time, right? And y is going to be something that I would like to forecast, for example, sales, or it can be refund and so on, right? So these are going to be the components. Now let's look into the actual components which are there inside a time series. So in the last session when we ended, right, so we were talking about one very important feature related to time series is that how much data do we need, right? How much data do we need? The first thing that we have to take care of is that this can be broadly categorized into three areas. Area, let's say A, B, and C, right? Case A is where I have the use cases, okay? The plans to do long-term forecasting, right? So my forecasting is going to be for something like 5 to 10 years of span, right? This is going to usually happen, as we saw, in case of, let's say, any kind of organization is going to make any strategic decisions, right? So this is going to be, or this kind of a use case is going to be where we will need to make a prediction, or we are going to do an estimation or a forecasting of the next 5 years, right? So for example, let's say my company decides that in the next 5 years, the focus of our company is going to be cloud, or it is going to be ML ops, right? Or it is going to be DevOps. So there is some basis by means of which they are taking this decision. Or maybe they are saying that, okay, we are going to do a radical change in the way we have our organization, right? So we are going to change the way we have our organization structure. We are going to change it, and we are going to do it in a way so that we are more agile when it comes to the technology, right? So that's the kind of forecasting which is, or which can be considered as a long-term one. Now there comes the second case, which is option B. This option B is what? The midterm, right? The midterm is something like, let's say, 2 to 5 years, right? 2 to 5 years is something which we can call a midterm. The midterm is what? Let's say in the next 2 years, how many uh, uh, Tableau developers will I need? Right? Let's say I'm working on to Tableau and I'm going to estimate how many Tableau developers I'll need in my team or in my vertical, in my area of work, in the unit, in the org unit where I'm working, right? So I will need to know how many developers I'll need, or now I'll need to know how many admins I will need, right? So this is a kind of a prediction where I'm only looking at a span of 2 to 5 years, right? And then there will be the third case, which is really very short, or you can also call this ultra short in some cases. In some cases, it will be something like as small as 2 weeks, and it can go from 2 weeks to a span of, let's say, 6 months, right? So these are the short-term kind of the cases. For example, I would like to know how well I can roster my manpower, right? Roster in the sense, let's say I'm working in an operations team and I have people working outside the office hours. I will need to know, basis the number of incidents or basis the number of call outs that I'm getting, how many support engineers do I need? Okay, how many support engineers do I need so that I can ensure that I do not breach any operational SLA, right? So that's what the basics that we have covered, okay, until now. So this was just a quick recap because we had a break of at least 2 to 3 days, right? So I just wanted to cover whatever we have already seen right now. Now let's go ahead. Now before we really look into the components, before we look into the components, right, there is a certain thing that we need to know, right? There is a certain thing that we need to know. More the volume, if I have more volume of data which is belonging to history, right? If I have more volume of data belonging to history, then the estimations will be more accurate. Okay, the estimations will usually be more accurate. Now this may not always be the case. It also depends on what kind of quality of data you have. So for example, in one of the sessions, one of us were asking, if let's say I have missed calculating some data, in that case what is going to happen, right? So in that case what is going to happen is you'll have to either backfill the data or you will have to change your time span from daily to weekly. So this kind of problems will be there, right? So if we have, okay, if we have good history of data, it is usually the case, I'm not going to say it is always the case, we can say that it is usually the case that my estimations are very good. Okay, the estimations are really going to be very good. Just a moment. Okay, the estimations are usually going to be very good if I have good amount of data. For example, if I have the last 5 to 7 years of data, right, this is usually something which is followed in the financial kind of areas also. So at least, okay, minimum, if I have the last 5 years of data, then I should be able to accurately estimate what is going to happen with respect to stock or with respect to the valuation of an SIP and so on and so forth. However, in many cases, you see that this is not really practical, right? Because you will not find, always you will not find that you have this kind of data, because it may well be the fact that it was only until the 1st of March 2021 that some company, or maybe 2020, let's say, that a company, let's say ICICI, okay, they have launched a mutual fund, right? Now in this case, obviously I don't have 5 to 7 years of data. What am I going to do in this case? Can I not do the estimations in this case? The answer is yes, we can still do. We have some advanced techniques, let's say things which we are going to borrow from the deep learning area of things, which are like LSTMs and RNNs and so on. So we have techniques in place by means of which we can make the estimations better in these cases also, right? So it is also possible for these cases, but usually if we are going to use the traditional methods, right, then we will need a good amount of data, right? Then we need to know what are the components and what kind of, let's say, methods we can use in the data, right? So the first thing, if given a data like this, the first thing that I'm going to do to find the components or the properties of a time series is that I'll just take the data. I'll take any library like pandas or scikit-learn. I'm just going to plot x and y, right? So let's say I'm plotting the data related to, let's say I'm plotting the data which is related to the sales of OnePlus. Okay, the sales of OnePlus 6. Maybe I have got this data from Amazon. Okay, because Amazon is the partner for OnePlus 6, if I'm not wrong. So I have got this data from OnePlus, and what we are doing is we are seeing some kind of a variety or some kind of a pattern, which is something like this, right? So clearly the sales, let's say y-axis in this case is sales, and x-axis in this case is month. Okay, so I have my data in the granularity of month. I could clearly see, right? I could clearly see there is a increase, right? Increase in the positive direction, right? Clearly there is an increase. This, or maybe if I was not so lucky, if I was not really so lucky, maybe I launched some phone, right? Which I'm going to call as my phone. And my phone was not a very good phone, right? And my phone sales was something like this, right? So this is the sales related to my phone, right? And this one is the sales related to the OnePlus 6. So you can clearly see that OnePlus 6 is a very good phone when it comes to at least the sales, which means people are liking it. Word of mouth review or advertisements on TV, these kind of marketing channels are working well, and its sales are increasing. But in case of this one, my phone, it is decreasing, right? This property, right? This property is a very important one. The first thing is what we notice, right? If you look at this graph, the first thing you notice is what is the direction in which it is going, whether it is decreasing over a period of time or whether it is increasing over a period of time. This component is also known as trend, right? This component is really useful. It is useful for a variety of reasons. The most important reason is this is the most frequent or most eye-catching thing. The first thing you notice is this, right? Hence, tomorrow, if you are going to make any predictions, it will be very easy for you to find out if those estimations that you are making is really making some sense or not. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute. Oh no, what did we do? Just a moment. Yeah, sorry, I'm back. Just having some water. So this is the first thing which we notice. This is one of the principal components, we can say, when it comes to time series, right? This is the first component and very, very essential component. If there is no trend, right, there may well be no reason, right? So this is one of the most interesting reasons, you can say, one of the most interesting reasons why people are interested to do time series analysis is because if there is some trend, they would like to utilize, right? They would like to utilize how this trend really looks like, and then the estimation should also look like the same thing, right? The second thing, let's take another example. Okay, so this is the first thing. The second thing is that, let's say I have another scenario where I'm looking into data related to AC sales. Okay, data related to AC sales from some local store. Okay, some local store I have, and from there I have got the data related to the AC sales. Okay, so on y-axis I have sales, right? Or you can also say this is the volume or the quantity of ACs which are sold per month. Okay, so I'm trying to plot the number of ACs which are sold per month, right? Or maybe even a better thing will be something like this. Let me change this to year, right? A better way will be to change this to year. And we see that if I plot the graph, it looks something like this, right? You see what is happening. There are certain points in time in the year. Okay, let me explain. Let's say this part, these lines that I'm drawing, okay, these belong to each and every year which is there in the data. Let's say I have only 5 years of data. Okay, starting from 2001, this is 2002, this is 2003, 04, 05, 06, right? So if I have these 5 years of data, you see what is the pattern here, and you will find something interesting. If you just zoom your observation at this 1 year data, right, or 1 year section, or if you zoom your concentration only on this 1 year section, you will find that there is clearly a pattern, and that pattern is something like this. It is increasing for the first few months and then it is decreasing, which makes a sense also. If I'm going to create a subgraph, if I'm just going to concentrate on this section over here between 2003 and 4, it is quite clear to know that there will be a season, and this season is going to be nothing other than the summer season. In this season, there will be very high number of quantities of ACs which will be sold, and then it is going to decline, right? Obviously, it is going to be lowest in case of winter, right? And it will be highest in case of the summer time. So 3 to 4 months is where the AC sales are going to be really high, right? Now, this makes logical sense also. This is basic the logic. Now, why are we looking into this is because this component tells us, right? This component tells us if our use case or if our data, right, is dependent on any kind of seasons, right, or any kind of environmental factors, right? Hence, this property is also known as seasonality, right? This property is known as seasonality. It means there is some seasonality in the data. In other words, I'm going to say that there is seasonality in the data if the trend or if the property of my time series is going to change basis the kind of environment I have, right? Or it is going to change basis the time of year, right? Or it is going to change basis the temperature, right? Or it is going to change basis the population, right? So these are some kind of factors which you cannot control, right? So for example, we know that our planet Earth is revolving around the sun, right? It will take 365 days to complete a revolution. So this is something that is already given to us by nature. There is no way we can control it. We are just a small organism which is on this planet, right? We are not going to change the setup, right? So this is a setup which is external to us. We have no control on the setup. So these are those environments where you don't have any control, right? But those environments have some very important effect, right, on the property of the time series. So the property of the time series is heavily impacted by these external factors, or these factors at the first place, right? So that's the reason why these are known as seasonality, because the data is dependent on the seasons, right? Now, in both the cases, before I move on to the third and the fourth areas, please note something that is really very important. We often ignore this, right? But please note that both of these, right, trend as well as seasonality, I can also call them as systematic. I can also call them systematic, right? Why? Because either the trend is increasing or decreasing, or obviously there can be cases where the trend is going to be a straight line, right? It may well be the case also. For example, this orange line over here refers to the daily sales of, I don't know, cigarettes, of some kind of a cigarette company, right? Or some kind of a wine brand. Maybe that wine brand is just another wine brand. So the sales is anyways quite low. Let's say per day, there are only 2 bottles of wine which is sold, right? At any given day, there is no chances of more than 2 bottles being sold because that wine is just another average wine, or that cigarette brand is just another brand of a cigarette. It's not really good, or it is not really a very popular one, and so on. So either the trend is going to have a structure like this, or it is going to have an uptrend, or it is going to have a downtrend. Please note these words. These are actually used in the industry as well as in the texts also. So either it will be uptrend or a downtrend, or it will be continuous, or it will be a stagnant or stationary kind of a trend, right? Right. So there is a system. Okay, there's some kind of a pattern. There's some kind of a proper system that is working behind it. In the same way, in this case also, there is a system. Every section of the data, right? Every section of the data, if you call each and every section like S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, each and every section of the data is basically a replication of the other section, right? It may well be the fact that I do see an upward trend over here over a period of time. Maybe this AC, let's say this is Voltas AC. Okay, let's say this is Voltas AC. So over a period of time, the sales of Voltas AC has increased, which is okay. So there's an uptrend, but I'm not talking about trend here. I'm just talking about the seasonality component. So each and every section is quite closely related to the other section, irrespective of where or the direction of the trend, right? So that's the reason why these are known as a systematic kind of the components, right? Until this point in time, friends, any questions? Sorry. Any questions?
No questions from my side.
Great. Just a moment. What did I do? Okay. Just a moment. I did something wrong. Just a moment. Yeah, now it is correct. Okay. So let me clear this and let's start with another very important systematic component of a time series. Another very important systematic component of a time series is also known as a cyclic component. Okay. It is also known as a cyclic component. So this component is where we have some kind of cycles going on, right? We have some kind of cyclic thing which is going on in the data, right? So what do you call the cyclic kind of a component? So for example, or if I can just take an example, let's say, so within a year, we saw that there was a year 2001 to 2002, or 2002 to 2003, 2003 to 2004. Within these years, there were fluctuations, right? Within the data, there were fluctuations, right? So fluctuations were there. Now, it may well be a case that, let's say, this Voltas AC, for example, was very popular between the year 2001 to 2004. Okay, and there was trends like this, and then some competitor came into the market, right? Some kind of a competitor came into the market, and the trend was a little less, right? And then this competitor had shut down, and the trend went back, right? Again, some kind of a competitor came in the year 2015, or maybe some kind of a downtime came, right? Or some kind of a financial effects were there, right? So ultimately, the graph is going to look something like this. If I'm going to condense the graph, with x-axis being a period of, let's say, 5 years. So this is 5 year, this is a 10 year, this is a 15 year, and this is a 20-year period, for example. So I will see that the pattern here is something like this, then the pattern here is something like this, then the pattern for this range something like this, pattern for this range is something like this, right? So there is an increase over the years, right? There is an increase over the years, right? And then there was a decrease. There was an increase over some years, then there was a decrease, right? And this kind of pattern, is following for all the break of, or all the delta of 5 years. So for each and every delta periods of 5 years, I can see this pattern is cyclic, right? This pattern is repeating itself, right? This pattern is repeating itself as a cycle, right? So that's the reason why if I have any time series where I see this kind of behavior, then that component of the time series, this word will be very clear when we do some hands-on, or when we try to break it. I'll tell you how or why these are called the components or the properties, because we are going to break a time series into these also. So when we are going to code, right, we are going to break it. So it is known as cyclic one because over a period of a delta, right, it is repeating itself, right? The only thing is here trend doesn't matter. In case of seasonality, trend was interesting, but in this case, there is no effect of a season. For example, the company which was giving a good competition to Voltas, which later on closed down, right? It was not launched in a particular winter season, and that is the reason why the sales were going down for Voltas, right? So there was no external thing which was really working here. This is purely with respect to the same business where Voltas is also there, right? So that's the reason why this is going to be different. Cyclic component is going to be different from the seasonality component, right? Now that we have seen these three, right? Now that we have seen these three, let's do one thing. Let's take a few examples, right? If I take a few examples, it will be clear, right? It should be clear to you about where these kind of components or systematic kind of, let's say, components are going to be useful. Now, one thing to note over here, if you look at the kind of use which we do, right, the kind of use which we do, it is going to be what? It is going to be basically more focused on trend. It is going to be focused, just a moment, it is going to be, let's say, yeah, it is going to focus more on trend, and it is going to focus more on seasonality, right? Because there are rare to rare cases compared to these two. There are rare cases where we see a circular kind of a motion in the data. So this property is rare, right? So our main concentration is going to be on trend, and it is going to be on the seasonality. So what are the examples of trend? Trend can be a straight line or a stagnant trend, right? It can be a stagnant trend. For example, I'm using any toothpaste. Okay, I'm using any toothpaste. Obviously, there will be an increase of the sales with respect to the population of the country. So the trend will not exactly be stagnant. But if you look at the popularity, right? If you look at the popularity of any toothpaste, for example, it can be Colgate, right? If you look at the popularity of Colgate, right, it is going to be a stagnant graph. It's going to be a stagnant component because irrespective of in which age you are or in which country you are, you're not going to stop brushing your teeth, which means the usage, if usage is plotted on the y-axis as compared to time or month on the x-axis, you will see the trend as a stagnant one, right? Then let's say I'll have something known as uptrend, right? And then there will be something known as downtrend, right? Examples of this is going to be what, let's say, uptrend or downtrend is going to be, let's say, the demand of bricks, for example, right? If I am going to talk about the demand of handmade bricks, okay, bricks which were being created earlier using manual, let's say, methods, the manual kind of methods which we used to use. So this demand is going to be downtrend because over a period of time, now that we have come to this age where we have a lot of factories, so we will be having factories from where we are going to make bricks. We may no longer be relying on the old age manual approaches because we need things to be delivered faster. You see how many buildings are being created all around us. That's why we need more bricks. And if I need more bricks, I'll need to produce more, right? But if you look at the kind of sales which this brick is going to do, or the kind of example which we saw with Voltas AC, right, with Voltas AC, then we will clearly come to know that there will be an uptrend. Okay, there is an uptrend. So there is an upwards direction, you can say. There is an upward direction in which the sales are going, right? There is a direction in which the sales are going. A very, very important example with respect to trend or uptrend is going to be GDP also, right? GDP always increases irrespective of what kind of seasonality or what kind of, let's say, a cyclic or a seasonal patterns you may have in the data. The GDP of any country will always going to increase, right? Over a period of time, it is always going to increase, right? Over a good period of time, right? So these are some of the examples, but if you look at the circular examples, like the examples in this case is very, very small, right? It is going to be very, very less. So we are going to mostly talk about trend and the seasonality side, where trend can be stagnant, it can be uptrend, it can be downtrend. And seasonality, we already know that there are effects which are created by factors which we do not control. For example, sales are higher for ACs in the summer series and lesser in case of the winter series. Right, so these are the seasonal effects which we cannot really control. We cannot control when there will be summer, or whether in summer there will be more hotness or less hotness, and so on and so forth. Right, now keeping this in mind, okay, keeping this in mind, these are, you can say, the components which are the systematic components. Right, these are the components which are the systematic component. But obviously the systematic components are not the only ones which will be there in the time series. For example, okay, for example, let's say I'm looking at the performance, okay, of any mutual fund, let's say mutual fund MF1, right, over a period of time. Right, over a period of time I'm looking into the mutual fund performance. Let's say y-axis is the XIRR, right, and x-axis is given in terms of months. Right, so each and every tick on the x-axis represents 1 month. Let's say this is January, February, and then comes 1 year, and then there will be the next year, and so on and so forth. And total, let's say I have, let's say, 3 to 4 years of data. Right, what if I see a performance which is something like this? You see what is happening here. These 3 peaks that you have seen, or this is not a peak, this is a positive increase. All of a sudden there was a positive increase. Sorry, let me just uh, just a moment. Yeah, all of a sudden there was a positive increase. All of a sudden there was a negative kind of a decrease. All of a sudden again there was a positive increase. Right, these may well be components or cases, okay, which we cannot explain. Right, we are not able to explain why really this happened. Something happened on that month or that day, right, which has triggered this. Something has happened, some event E1 has happened over here, some event E2 has happened over here, some event E of n has happened over here, because of which there was an anomaly. Right, a sudden anomaly, you can say, a sudden anomaly is there. Okay, is there. Right, let's take this as example 1. Right, this takes this as example 1. Example 2 can be, for example, a very, very simple kind of an example. Let's say I am a driver of an ambulance. Right, I am a driver of an ambulance. So this is my ambulance. I'm associated with some hospital. Right, my job is that I get a call, right, and then there is an automated system. I get a notification on my app, right, and I go to certain place, right, which is the address of the patient. I pick up the patient, I come back to the hospital. Right, this is my day-to-day job. Now obviously I cannot work for 24 hours. Right, so what I have done is, because I cannot work for 24 hours, I divided my shift into 3 people. I myself work for 8 hours, and there are 2 more friends who are going to work for 8 hours, 8 hours each. Right, sometimes it so happens that the app crashes. Right, and I don't know exactly when it is going to crash. It can be any given Tuesday at night 8 p.m. when the app crashes. I do a restart of my phone and it gets fixed. Also, this is not the case. I mean, this crashing of app is not only with me, right? This is happening with my colleagues also. This is happening with these 2 people also who are driving the vehicle when I'm taking rest. Right, there is no particular pattern in this 24 hours in a day, or the day of the week, or the time of this incident, or the place from where you have got the call, or the route I'm taking to come back to the hospital. Right, irrespective of the external components, within these 8 hours of time, at any point in time, sometimes all of a sudden the app is going to crash. Right, so there is no plausible explanation. I cannot give any explanation at that point in time as to why the app has crashed. Okay, maybe my phone hanged, maybe I'm using the phone for a lot of time. Okay, so my phone has not been restarted for long, or it has hanged. Right, but there is no pattern. Clearly there is no pattern, because this is happening with me who has a certain phone, and it is also happening with my colleagues who may have a different phone, and so on and so forth. If this is the case, right, if this is the scenario in which we are, right? Then this kind of a scenario in or with respect to time series, where did it go? Sorry, just a moment. Just a moment. Yeah, with respect to time series, this is known as let me change the color. Yeah, this is known as irregularity. Sorry, irregularity, right? This is called irregularity because you can't explain this. Okay, there was some external event which happened on that day, and those external events were not planned. They were completely unplanned. It happened all of a sudden, right? It happened all of a sudden, right? All of a sudden it happened, and that is the reason why this kind of a change in the behavior was seen, right? This irregularity component, right? This irregularity component is also known as noise. Okay, this is also known as noise. Okay, and there's a very important statistical property. Okay, there's a very important statistical property of this noise. Let's say in this case, you saw this irregularity event 1, irregularity event 2, irregularity event 3 over here. Okay, let's say you have a data. Let me clear this drawing. Let's say you have a data which is spanning for 10 years, right? And you are seeing irregularity every week. So every week there is on certain day when your app is hanging. For example, in that use case, when I was driving the ambulance right to the hospital, my app was hanging. So every week it is happening. I don't know when it is going to happen. That I don't know. But this is happening for the last 10 years, right? This is happening for the last 10 years. So maybe I have the data for the last 10 years. And in the granularity of each and every week, I have this kind of a problem. Okay, so how much data do I have? There are 52 weeks in a year. In 1 year, if I have 52 weeks, right, then I have 520 such instances, right? 520 such cases where my app has hanged, right? Why is this app hanging a problem? Because if my app has hanged, then I have not got the notification of that patient at the right time. And maybe there was a delay while bringing the patient from his address to the hospital, right? So that is why this is a concern for me. Are you getting my point? The reason why I'm analyzing this is because this delay is not caused by me or the two colleagues who are driving the car, right? It has been caused by this guy. This guy hanged, and that's the reason why it has happened. I have no control, right? But there are over a period of 10 years at least 520 instances if it has happened once a week. Okay, I'm assuming it has happened once a week, right? If I take a distribution, okay, if I take a sampling distribution, okay, of these 520 instances, you will come to know that if this is really noise, if it is really noise, or if it is really, okay, if it is really error, I can also say, I can also call this an error, or if this is really an irregularity feature or an irregularity component, then the mean, right, the mean is going to be 0. The mean is going to be 0, and the standard deviation or the variation, right, the variation is going to be some value which is constant. It's going to be some value which is constant. If it is really an error, if it is really a noise or an irregularity, right, this is what the statistical property is going to be, right? This is what the statistical property is going to be. This is very similar to being a normal distribution. If you look at it carefully, this is very similar to being a normal distribution, right? This is where a lot of people may have confusions at the first place, because if I have a normal kind of a distribution, why am I even calling it an error at the first place, right? It may well be because of a very valid reason. We can investigate and find out, right? We can investigate and find out why these 520 instances has happened. But usually what do we do? Because we don't know the exact root cause, we cannot do the exact RCA for this kind of a scenario, we ignore it. Okay, we take out the noise component, or we take out the error component out of the data, right? But if I only look at the error component as a separate entity, right, it is going to have a mean of 0 and some kind of a constant variance or standard deviation, right? So that's the property of noise, as the property of the irregularity, right? So what we are going to do is that, right, what we are going to do is that we are going to find out, right, we are going to find out things inside the time series itself. We are going to plot the time series. We get any data, right? The initial or the ideal approach is we plot it at the first place. We are going to plot, right? What are we going to answer? There will be a lot of questions that we are going to find out, or a lot of questions which we'll have to answer. The first question is there a trend, right? The second question is there a seasonality? Okay. The third question is going to be, are there any outliers? This is not a component. This is not a component of a time series, but this is very important to look into, because outliers most often the not is, or may result into that noise, or may result into the error, right? Is there are other things also which we look into. Is there any long run? Okay, is there any long run cycle? So are there, if at all rare, this will be rare, but are there any cyclic patterns seen in the data, right? Also, are there any abrupt changes? Okay, are there any abrupt changes which we find in the data or in the plot itself? So if I look at the plot, which is something like this, let's say I get a plot which is something like this, right? So clearly, what is the answer here? Let's try to find out. Is there a trend? The answer is yes. There is an uptrend. Okay, there is an uptrend. Is there a seasonality? Looks like it, right? If I consider this as 1 year of data, this is the second year of data, and so on, it looks like at the middle of the year something is happening. Okay, something is happening. Maybe this data belongs to the sales, okay, of raincoats. Okay, this belongs to the sale of raincoats, especially in India, especially in our country. Why? Because it looks like the monsoon season. This part of the graph looks like the monsoon season. It is not early in the year or middle in the year like the summer season. So it looks like the monsoon season. So there is clearly a pattern, because raincoats will be more sold in the monsoon season. We know that already. So is there a seasonality? Yes. Yes, there is a seasonality. The seasonality can be explained with respect to the rainy season or the monsoons that we are having in our country, right? Are there any noises? Looking at this, we may say that this is a noise. This peak does not look like others, right? There may be, we don't know, right? There may be. At least looking at this graph, we don't. If that is the case, then what do? We have this granularity set to year. Maybe if I change it to day, right, or week, right, maybe I'll find more instances of having any outliers or any abrupt changes. So these are the tasks. Okay, these are basically the activities that we do while we analyze the simple plot of a time series. This is going to answer a lot of questions. You see, why we are doing this is not because we are trying to understand something related to how to plot the data. We are going to answer many of the questions over here only. Many of the very, very important questions will be answered here only, because believe it or not, many of your business users are not even aware of this, that there is a trend or there is a seasonality or what, unless and until we solve these kind of questions, which we find out from the plot. Unless and until we plot, they were not even aware. I have seen this myself also. I mean, there are experienced people who are working with a certain XYZ product who are not even aware of the properties. Okay, I'm going to call these as the properties over time. Let's say properties over time, right, of the data which the product was really generating. So in other words, this data is the product, right? I mean, if I've collected the data related to sales of raincoats, and whatever insights I find out of the data belongs to the raincoats only. So these are the properties of the sales of raincoats, right? But there is a very, very high chance that a very seasoned person working in this kind of an industry, or for that matter, any industry, may not be aware of these patterns, right? These patterns which are there, right? It is very essential that we change the dimension, or we change the scale of the data, right? We change this, try to change the scale of the data if that is really possible. For that, we need the lowest granularity, right? We cannot change a year back to a day if I don't have the day data already. I can change day back to year, right? I can change day to year. I cannot change year to day, right? So when I am collecting the data, when I'm storing the data, I'm going to collect it at the minimum possible granularity. The minimum granularity is what I'm going to consider, so that later on this minimal granularity can be increased, right? So if I'm collecting the data as day, then I can change it to week, right? I can change it to bi-weekly, right? I can change it to monthly, I can change it to quarterly, I can change it to yearly, and so on, right? But this was only possible because at the first place I collected the data on the day level, right? So that's a very important thing, right? That is a very, very important thing why we should collect the data at the minimal, let's say, granularity, because then we are going to properly answer these questions, right? And then we can make the analysis, the further analysis of the graph, right? The further analysis of the graph, right? And then we are going to find out the estimations or the properties, right? Or the results of the analytics which we would like to do. Is that clear, friends, until this point in time?
Yes, all clear.
Yeah. Okay, then let's have a break here. Let's take a logical stop here. What we are going to do, we are going to take in the next session, right? We are going to take up things related to how we are going to essentially break these components in any software, right? It is not going to depend on the software that tomorrow we are going to use, right? This is independent of the software, right? So we are going to look into components like exponential smoothing. We are going to look into cases like ARIMA and so on. So let's start with the concept related to exponential smoothing. And then we will also come to know about a certain aspect of time series analysis, which will really be interesting. So just a hint, we are actually going to get rid of all the seasonalities or all the trends or all the patterns in the data to find the trend, right? I'll leave you with this thought. If you would like to explore more about this thought, please go ahead. But ultimately, when we do estimations, we are going to remove, right? We are going to remove all the trend, all the seasonality, right? All the cyclicity kind of the patterns from the data. And then only we will be able to do the estimation, or otherwise we won't be able to do the future estimations, right? You will explain why that is really required. Yeah. If you have any questions, friends, do let me know on the group. Yeah. Then let's make a close for today. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.